Right, cracking on now with building up these Stormdrake guards. I'm going to start off, I'm going to do now one of the Stormdrakes. I'm going to do this side. I'm not going to kind of do it all in one go. I'm going to build the main body, build the heads, and then probably later on show you how to do the wings. So we need to start off with here. We've got 2 for this side of the body and number 1 for the other side of the body over here. Now, I can't wait to get these built because I also have Draconith. So the larger dragon that we got with the premium kit, kind of these really do go together. There's no other way to put it. You'll actually be able to compare the size of these dragons. So, which is going to be quite interesting to see, like how much bigger the Draconith is. I think it's called Draconith. Now, I do love a good dragon, and I think when you kind of look at so many of, so many fantasy settings, dragons they're absolutely essential. They're needed to make a fantasy setting feel like a fantasy setting. It's actually quite odd when fantasy settings don't have dragons in them, to be quite honest about it. Just trying to work out this way around, yeah. So I like, obviously, dragons from a, just any kind of fantasy point of view. Glee's decided not to flow now, just give it a second. And I like the way that different fantasy settings attempt to show dragons. So if you have a look at something like Lord of the Rings, the dragons in The Hobbit, well, Smaug is an aggressive and vile dragon. He's a greedy dragon. In the old world and in the Age of Sigmar, obviously dragons are, well, I suppose inherently good. Well, not inherently good, but they tend to be on the side of order. But then, even then, that varies somewhat. So you could argue that the Cathai dragons, they are somewhat benevolent rulers. I don't want to say they're inherently benevolent rulers. I just realised I've made a mistake there building this part, well, because I was too busy talking. Let me find part 3. Yeah, the dragon emperors of Cathai on the old world. If you've ever played Total War, Warhammer 3. So let me just fix this, because I just rather foolishly forgot to put this in. Sometimes I need to stop chatting away and actually keep an eye on what I'm doing. It's a bit of a weird one, this. How does it go in? To get the front of it like that, it kind of sits in here somehow, but exactly how is anyone's guess. Feels like it just kind of sits in here. It obviously glues there, and then glues on the other side. No, yeah, so the but obviously, dragons in lots of different fantasy settings, their intent and purpose. One thing that they do tend to all have in common is they are frequently linked to, I suppose, like a time that was a past quite often, that's often hard to reclaim. You can see that in things like the Elder Scrolls, where the dragons are ancient. The old world has similar like ancient dragon stories. The Age of Sigmar pretty much starts with a dragon saving Sigmar from the burning of the old world. So it's definitely a core part of it. How you implement dragons into a fantasy setting is actually, in a lot of ways, how you actually define it. 7 and 6. Let me find 7 and 6 now. There we go, tail end. It's weird, I know probably a lot of people will be shocked by this, but I've never seen Game of Thrones. I've never read it either, and I keep meaning to, but I think the problem is I never started watching it when it first came out, and then everyone's like, by the time I was planning on watching it, everyone said that it was it went completely not a train wreck towards the end. And it's hard to want to watch something when you know it kind of ends rubbish. It's different if you're already invested in something. You can carry on watching it and hope that you pull it back towards the end. But yeah, just never quite got into it, unfortunately. Which is a shame because, come on. Let's get this guy glued up now. Then we'll move on. Right, let's check what's going on here. So this is, that's going to kind of clip into there, isn't it? Quite nicely. There's also, by the look of it, a little bit that needs to go onto the front there, which is number 5, which is, nope, that's number 4. Where's number 5? I wouldn't be surprised if that one there gives the neck a different position. Where are there it is, number 5. This kind of front plate. Bit of body armour. Well, I mean, among other things, I really like the way that, better technology, casting technology, has allowed for better monsters to be brought into fantasy games. If you ever have a kind of look at the old world dragons, at the time, me and my friends thought, wow, this thing's huge. But, as kind of time's gone on, if you put an old school old world dragon up against one of these, I'd be curious to see how they match up in size. I'm looking at this. I actually don't think it's that much bigger. I think the massive dragon is huge, of course, but this one, actually, looking at it, scale-wise, it doesn't seem that huge. Let's get number 16 out. Let me find it. Is it 16? Yeah, 16, 18, and 17. Let me try and find that. There we go. Yeah, I actually would love to get hold of an old metal dragon. Because I'm looking at this, and scale-wise, I don't think it's as big as it seems. So 16, 18 and 17. Lots of little bits here to find. 18, there we go. And 17, another claw somewhere. Yeah, I actually think this is probably on par size-wise with the old dragon. Right, am I missing something here? 17, why can't I find 17? 13, 11. Oh, there it is over here. It's hiding from me. Yeah. Sometimes I do wish that I'd kept all my models from when I was younger. But of course, you know, back then I had to make a choice between keeping all my old models or having enough money to buy a house. And I made the right choice, obviously, but yeah, some of those old models would be lovely to have now, because then I could just kind of side by side them, couldn't I? Show off the difference between old and new. Because I think it would be a very interesting thing to put this next to one of the old metal dragons. Because as I said, I'm looking at it, and yeah, it's quite beastly, but I'm not certain that it's that big, that it's like massively different in size. Anyway, I keep repeating myself, but honestly, that's how I'm thinking at the moment. Get that one there. This other claw goes over here. I'll tell you one thing though, this thing doesn't fall apart as much as the old metal dragons used to do. Gosh, they were a nightmare. Old metal dragons and wyverns used to just drop to pieces at the slightest provocation. Alright, 12 and 11 now. Some kind of little, there we go, little claw. Got to be careful cutting these ones as well and tidying them up, because, you know, aside from the fact that they're sharp, and which in itself makes them difficult to clean, of course, you can easily break bits off them. Pop the claw on. This looks like it's a front appendage, doesn't it now? Popping into here. Yeah, I think if you knew what you were doing, this would be really good actually to connect, you know, like convert a high elf to riding for the old world. I'm not going to do that. I like this for Age of Sigmar. Number 15. Let's get number 15 out. Well, so we got 14 and 13. So there's 13 with the claws. 14, this tiny little claw over here. Getting all these tidied up and done. Taking quite a while just to get one dragon together, so I think the other dragon is definitely going to have to be a separate video. Because I'm already on 15 minutes, and I think if it's probably going to still take me a good 15 minutes more to just do one of them. And then let's get this other claw out. So 9 and 10. And it looks like there's lots of choice with these heads coming up. That's how it appears when I look at this. So 11 and... sorry, 9 and 10. Where's number 10? Over here. Be interesting to see how many options I've got on the neck and the heads. It does suggest there's at least 2, just a casual glance. It's got a bit of a weird connection. Let's check what's going on here. So, I think... Ah, yeah, there. Like that. And we're looking good. Right. Hey, we're getting there. Now, time. Oh, I need to stop shaking so much. Shaking everything. I really need to calm it down. Right. Now I've got to decide on head options. So I'm going to go for 21 and 22. Neck options even. But you've also got another set of options here, number 19. And I like that because obviously with these big kits, it's sometimes, if you want more of them, it can be a bit boring on big kits if there's too much similarity between them on the model. So having even the most basic of choices, head tilting in a different way, different plumes, it just makes it, for people who really like to collect, it just makes it so much better for them. Not a very clean join that, I've got to say. Right, let's get that head in there. Okay. We're getting closer now to done. Now some actual head options. So I am going to go for 20, 23, 24 and 25. This one over here. On a positive note, I know it's probably too late now for the UK because this has already passed, but if you haven't got these yet in another country, from what I can see, if you haven't been able to get one of these issues, you can still pick up just one of them in order to get a dragon. Or if you want to have an extra dragon without having to buy, like have 4 in total. So if you want to make it a nice balanced 3, it looks like you can just pick up either one of these magazines and make a complete dragon out of either one side, which is just something you've got to kind of know. I saw one of these in a shop, and I was like, oh, I best not buy it because I don't really know if I'm getting a full dragon with it. I don't know if it is possible. There we go. Pops on like that. Beautiful. Look at that. It's really lovely. Okay. Now heading and get this tail done. Just pop up this tail. I didn't, even though the instructions tell you to put this tail on a bit sooner, I decided not to, just because I've personally found from experience of putting stuff like this together, if you put things like the tail on early on, you're knocking it off all the time. Yeah, now that I've got this built, I have to admit, I genuinely believe that this is not that much bigger than an old metal dragon, which is good, because if you felt inclined, this would make a beautiful high elf dragon for the old world. Its neck's a bit short. Normally old world dragons have longer necks, but I think this would make a beautiful addition to an old world high elf army. Okay, what else have we got here? I think that's that part done. Now what I need to do is get the wings together. So, let's see what we've got. We've got 28. Going to try and get these the right way around so I don't make a mistake. So 28, 26, and 27, And then on the other side, 30. $29. And 31. Now be careful tidying this up, because it has very clearly got lots of easy to snap parts on it. Get this nicely tidied up first though. It looked like, also not to mention an ugly mould line in the wrong place. So the good thing is, as well, is the wings look interchangeable between the two sprues. So if you wanted to put different wings, you know, want to swap them around a bit. Oh, actually, that's not good. Got a little air bubble behind the plastic, and it's making it hard to clean up. Yeah, so these wings are interchangeable if you want to mix it up a bit. I hate these parts where they start really slowing me down, because I gotta get everything nicely cleaned up and then I can just glue it all in a big run. Right, let's get these glued up now. And then this thing is done finally, which has been not the longest build I've ever done. I've done far longer ones in my time, but I have to admit, I feel fatigued at the moment. There's no other way to put it. I have been so busy that I feel like I'm doing these videos because I'm always doing these videos. To be quite honest, I'm very worn out at the moment from doing house stuff, so I really just want to get things done so I can rest. Yeah, your hobby should never feel like a chore anyway, and it doesn't normally, but when I've got a big long list of tasks to accomplish and not a lot of time, my aim to make sure that I complete every single one of these videos plus now Combat Patrol has started, so that's adding to it. Right, let's get this wing on. Yeah, it's just not good timing, I would probably say at the moment. That I need to get these done. I was hoping to finish Stormbringer before Combat Patrol started, but there's then I delayed my videos for a while. Well, I delayed my Stormbringer for a few months while I finished moving house. Right, I think that it's done now. I think that is 100% perfect. Now, what happens is, to put it plain and simply, the rider goes on there. But of course, you know, I'm not going to glue those yet because I think painting these two things separate from each other is just, well, it's just plain good sense, to be quite honest. But there we go. I think the only thing that I really need to consider now, aside from the fact that these wings are going to be an absolute nightmare and constantly be dropping, I'll give them a chance to dry up. And of course, then you've got these bases. So let me just pop that off. And pop that off. That's a very good strong plastic base, and of course they go on one of these. Again, you might not always want to glue this to this straight away, just partly because if you're going to decorate this, you're going to need to like paint all of this. It's a tough one. Sometimes it's a good idea to glue them on straight away. Depends what you're doing with scenery, whether or not you're going to spray paint this and so on. There's a lot of should I's with that kind of thing. But basically, once you're ready, you pop him on that, and he's ready to fly. Hang on, is it a he? Let me check. It's hard to tell because reptiles and birds don't actually have those kind of genitals. But there's, I think they've sculpted on its cloaca, you know. So. Anyway, that's our dragon, our first Stormdrake, lovely and bayed up. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.